Life and business can be easy, but us silly humans love getting in our own way. My name is Nico Rapklis, and I've had a wild journey. From releasing traumas that I held on to for decades, to playing college athletics, working with multi-million-dollar brands, having a spiritual awakening, and now coaching incredible humans navigate their inner and outer world. The Just Grow podcast is my outlet to share and help others with life and business. After investing north of $100,000 into my personal and professional development, the Woo plus Do formula is what has served me best. A healthy combination of mindset, energetics, consciousness, spirituality, self-healing, and discovery, matched with a high-level strategy, principles, focus, optimization, and accountability to help you be, do, and have everything that has been placed in your heart. This podcast is for the impact-driven entrepreneur that is finally ready to start thriving internally and externally. Welcome to Just Grow. Yo, what's happening, my friends? Welcome to the Just Grow podcast. My name is Nico Rapklis. I'm the host around here if you're new in these parts. But so excited to release this particular episode. This is with my good friend Jolene Goring. She's an incredible human being. She's getting her PhD in quantum neuroscience. So we had an incredible conversation. This one was actually live in front of an audience. It was another one of our Just Grow podcast live events. And we talked about some incredible things, a lot surrounding quantum neuroscience. So really powerful stuff. And it's really that internal world that's kind of hard to explain, but it ultimately is the stuff that creates all the magic that we get to experience in this world. So I want to jump into that episode here, but before we do, want to let you know about our next Just Grow podcast live event on November 16th with the lovely Katie Kylene. This one is going to be absolutely incredible, a little bit unique and a little bit different. Should be a bigger event. We should have 100 plus at this one. And it's going to be a powerful one. We're really excited about it. We're going to do a live meditation. We're also going to do a really cool conversation. Like I said, it's going to be quite a bit different. So if you want to learn more about that, go to justgrowpodcast.com. If you want to learn more about our Woo plus Do framework on how to really step into the most powerful version of yourself, you can join our free Skool community, links down below, or you can also check out the free video that walks you through the framework as a whole. So without further ado, let's jump in this interview with Jolene Goring.
So I would like, obviously we're going to be talking about some incredible things tonight. I'd love for you to share just a little bit of your story to give a little context for the people that don't know Jolene. Who here does not know Jolene in the room? Okay, so we got a amount of people. So yeah, why don't you give us some quick headlines on who Jolene is?
Oh my gosh, where to start? But first of all, before we even go there, we're talking about quantum healing in the world of the quantum. Let's all step into the world of quantum together. And it's pretty simple, but it's pretty powerful. It's basically this: the world of the quantum, we're not going to talk about this or that. We're going to talk about this and that because the quantum is a world of infinite possibilities. Let's just kind of keep that in the back of our head as we go through this discussion. Simple, but when you start to think that way, everything, all the doors open. So, long story short, I'm from Canada originally. Any of the Canadians here? Okay. I grew up in Saskatchewan, little nowhere on a cattle ranch. I'm dual now. I've lived here for 10 years. I've always been into natural healing. My first degree was in geophysics, and I did that because my physics teacher in high school, so there was 30 people in my graduating class. Like I grew up outside of a town of 2,000 people. So like there's probably more people in this building than the town that I grew up in. But my physics teacher told me that women shouldn't do physics. So this is also a full circle. We can talk about neuroscience this way, about how we can actually make better choices in our life, where if we add things to our life instead of taking them away, we talk that inner child inside of us. So that inner child inside of me, when somebody told me you can't do this, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to do it. So we can use those little, so even from a younger age, we're all, learning and growing and using these techniques. And I wanted to study why it works because I've always been in natural healing. Granted, geophysics, I did work oil and gas for 10 years. I did the whole fancy lifestyle. And then I'm like, this is not very satisfying. We all were programmed, right, to have to do. And actually, thank you, Bruno, for that breath work. I realized this is the first time in a month that I have just been, that I haven't been doing. I just literally got to sit for almost 10 minutes and you stopped and I'm like, no, can I please just sit here for a little bit longer? But thank you. So that's a good reminder as well, just to actually take a step back and just enjoy life. So, right, full circle. I've been studying different types of science my entire life. I've climbed the corporate ladder, accomplished a lot of cool things. I was flying in private jets, doing all these cool things, and I wasn't happy. So as we all go through life, I'm like, what's inside my heart? And we could go through some exercises. Like we're not going to be here all night, but like, we could just talk about this for hours and days. There's some different heart exercises you can do where you tap into the power of your heart. Our heart actually has a lot of neurons in it. You've probably heard this before. And our hearts emit an electromagnetic field 8 feet out from us. And that's why when we're in this energy with all these like-minded people, we feel good. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like I say, I've been going for a month straight. I've been traveling. I've been doing talks and just so many great things. I was exhausted when I showed up. I told Nico, I'm like, I had 3 cups of coffee today. I have to like pee every hour. Like, I wanted to really show up, with my best self for you guys. But as soon as I walked in, I was like, I could feel everybody's energy. And that's why when you walk by somebody, sometimes you can tell right away you like them or you don't. Has anybody ever had that? Like some of my best friends, the second I met them, I was like, we're going to be friends forever. And I didn't know how or why. Or I walk by some people and like my blood turns cold. And I'm kind of like, there's something a little different. That is our hearts emitting the electromagnetic frequency. And they say it's 8 feet. 8 feet is the maximum that everybody, okay, they've only measured 8 feet is what I'm trying to say. It's probably further. I'm sure it's further, but they've only measured up to 8 feet. So that's why when we're doing different things like coherence, like, our frequencies, when we're all vibing together, we're amplifying, and that can be for good or for bad. So I'm kind of alluding to all these little topics we can dive into. Community, like there's a million things already here, right? Like how do we stay focused? I don't know. We're just going to go with it.
I'll take care of that.
Right. But yeah, so I've just been studying this my entire life, essentially, and I'm getting my doctorate in quantum healing and neuroscience. Joe Dispenza and Bruce Lipton are on my faculty. You guys are probably familiar with them. So I'm soon to be doctor, hopefully within the next year.
Hey.
And yeah, so my intention with all of this is to bring this natural healing into the world in a way that makes sense for everybody. I want to meet people where they're at. And my brand is also healthy, indulgent living. Like I love wine and pizza, and I'm a board certified holistic nutritionist, and I eat my greens every day, and I do hot yoga. So there's a way for your life to ebb and flow with all of your luxuries and indulgences and what makes you happy. And it's different for everybody. So I really want to connect with people in a way that you can decide what makes me happy. And it doesn't have to be who cares what anybody else thinks. What truly makes you happy, and how are you going to craft your life, basically. So I'm like very convoluted, but you know what, life works that way, and it ebbs and flows, and then we all end up exactly where we're meant to be, which is right here right now.
Amen.
Yeah,
That's beautiful. I think something that popped out to me there, you're talking about when you get in the right rooms and you have that frequency in the rooms and you can feel it. I felt that the first breath, I could just hear an audible.
yeah.
I felt like we were all connected in that moment. And I think a direction that we potentially could go here, you every time you meet me, you're like, you're the ultimate connector. And it's interesting because I do that very intentionally. Like I bring people together, I create these environments because I want to be around amazing people, because it elevates my energy. When my energy is elevated, then I am naturally gravitating more amazing things, more abundance, more people. It's just then my frequency is higher. And because of the fact that my frequency is higher, then it just keeps on perpetuating, right? You can go either way. You can spiral up or you can spiral down. So if you continue to contract, you keep going that way. And then you keep attracting more things that are at a lower frequency.
Yeah, we can definitely use these principles it's just like the waves, right? We've got the waves that we're all emanating, and when we're together, we're going to be building them up, constructive interference or coherence. Or if you're with people that you're kind of like very different, which maybe you're not going to vibe together, you're actually destructively creating the energy. So it's just not a good fit, which is okay too. That's the cool thing. It's like what works for us. I'm all about that. And then also, speaking on the breath work too, I wanted to make a quick mention of what Bruno was talking about. Did you guys notice when the first part was a little more energizing, it felt like, and then the second part was a little more grounding? I'm assuming that was intentional. So he didn't have a chance to explain it. You guys may or may not know the science behind it, but just very simple. If you want more energy, breathe in longer than you breathe out. So breathing in is going to activate your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight, right? And that's where you'll get your energy, your adrenaline. And that's where back in the day, if something was chasing us, right, we had to like run away and survive. So if you want more energy, breathe in longer than you breathe out, or breathe in stronger than you breathe out. And vice versa. If you want to calm down a little bit, that's your parasympathetic nervous system, and that's your rest and digest. So if you want to just be relaxed, maybe a little bit nervous, you're going to breathe out for longer than you breathe in, and also breathe out a little stronger than you breathe in. So it's a very simple tactic. You may or may not have heard it. And I find too, I'm continually studying and learning so many things. I forget the basics sometimes. So I love it when people ask questions. And sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, why do we do that? But it's good to have that discussion. So we're gonna go simple, and we can go super deep today too if we want to. But just that little, I wanted to make sure I mentioned that because I did notice the difference with the energy with your breath work.
Well, one thing you said is that you forget the basics, but I don't think you do. That you become more embodied. You know them, and it becomes unconscious competence. Unconscious
Yeah.
competence. So then it's just a knowing. So it's like you do kind of forget, but it's just ingrained within you.
That is so true. And that's where our neural pathways come in as well. It's the use it or lose it, or the neurons that fire together, wire together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we talk about habits and different ways that we like to live life. Like it could be your morning routine, it could be the decisions you make during the day. The more you do it, the easier it's going to be to continue doing the same thing. And our bodies gravitate towards what's easiest, right? So it's even like, does anybody like to hike at all? Does anybody hike here? I love hiking. But just, or even like picture either hiking or a dirt road. Or I grew up dirt roads in Canada. Um, if you're driving down a dirt road, or no, let's do hiking. Hiking's better. So say you're hiking and you're like going through the forest, right? You're trying to like push the trees out. It's very difficult. That is what it's like when we're trying to create new habits and create new ways of living, right? Healthier ways of living. And then the hiking trail that is like, it's blazed, it's super easy. It might even be paved, like, Pinnacle Peak. It's like the beautiful hike that is practically paved. It's easier to do that. So our bodies are going to start, it's going to make the choice that is the easiest for us, whether that's healthy or not. It's the things that we do over and over, create those neural pathways. And they're just like a hiking trail. So the more we do it, the easier it is. And we gravitate towards that, right? So when we're creating new habits, it can be a little difficult. We're forging a new trail. But the more we do it, we're going to forge that new trail, our neural pathways in our brain, right? And then it's going to become easier. So to Nico's point, you're right. I think a lot of these basic things we're talking about they become just ingrained in your body, but it takes a bit of effort just to get it to happen. But once you do it, it becomes easier and easier. And I'm hoping that we can inspire you guys tonight we're going to talk about manifestation as well, and it all ties together, but we want to rewire your brains. And even this discussion, your brains are all going to be completely different after this evening. And we're going to set you up in a way that you can actually be manifesting whatever your desires are. And it's all the same frequencies. So we've got a couple of questions that people have mentioned that I want to get into as well, where if they can't manifest, I want to get into that. But just by manifesting your desires, we're going to teach your brain how to do that without actually trying, right? So the neural pathways, we're going to teach you some techniques where you can just be doing it without even thinking. So you're manifesting without even trying, just by living. So my intention is your worst day or your average day is going to be like non-existent, and your best day today is going to be like your average day going forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, raising the
Elevating. Yeah.
instead of having the yo-yo of success. How many people feel that, like, where things are going well and then they dip off, and then they go well and then they dip off. It's like it's just a lot of up and downs. Looks like we see some hands raised. But what we're talking about is like, how do we take that up and down, and like you're walking down the street, and then you turn that into an escalator so that you make the standards higher, and the lower standards higher as well. So it's like you're going up, and you're up a little bit higher than you were, up a little bit higher, up a little bit higher, up a little bit higher, like that.
Exactly. I feel like I'm such a visual learner. I wish we had like graphics, but I'll try to describe it. And you're a really good one. That's one fun. When Nico and I talk, I'm like, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you're saying this, right? I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, again, like, it comes back to the way we always talk about this, and what we talk about in our Skool community all the time, is that it's the woo and the do, right? I think we can get lost in the extremes. If it's all woo, you're just meditating all day, just doing breath work all the time, and just visualizing, that's very woo side, right? But then there's the other side. We flip it around, you're just like hustle, grind, go, go, go. Then you can get burnt out of that, right? So it's about continuing to find that balance for where is serving to you in that moment.
And the cool thing about balance too is that it changes. So I think a lot of us, and I get guilty of this too. I'm like, okay, like right now I'm getting my PhD and I'm still rebranding and building a business and trying to have a social life and all this. It gets to be a lot, and it's okay for it to ebb and flow. Like what I defined as my own version of balance a month ago or even last week, it might change, and we have to be okay with that because we have these emotions as well. I talked too about the guilt. Guilt is when we maybe haven't made the decisions that we think we should have done. But I think we have a lot of entrepreneurs in here too, and just people that want to elevate their life. We're human, nobody's perfect. And having that feeling of guilt takes us out of our manifestation mode.
Yeah.
Right. So when we have these negative emotions, that's our amygdala. It's the reptilian part of our brain. It's more the fight or flight, the survival mode. And it's normal. And that's where we default to, right? As humans, we had to survive. So if we had a choice where if a lion was chasing us or we could eat a juicy, delicious apple, we had to escape the lion before we could eat the apple, right? And those are two different parts of our brain. So by learning how to switch different parts of your brain that you're using, you can go from your survival instinct into your creativity and manifestation instinct. And a lot of it is the awareness and also some of these tips that we're going to go over as well.
Great points. You said something about entrepreneurs. I am curious, who in the room identifies as an entrepreneur? Cool. So like
So
most of you.
I felt that entrepreneurial
95%
energy.
of the room. Yeah. So a question I'd love to just hear from you, Jolene, is what does manifestation mean to you? Or how do you describe it?
I love this. See, and this is great because we have not scripted anything. So it's kind of fun for me. Okay, so my description, and it's fun because everybody's different. Because I am studying quantum healing and neuroscience, I put that spin on a lot of things that I like to talk about. And I would define manifestation as the quantum collapse of our desires into reality. And basically, when we talked about the quantum realm as infinite possibilities, we have the science behind it now where we don't necessarily have particle physics, we have waves of possibilities. So out there are literally these infinite possibilities, and what you focus on does the quantum collapse into reality. So with manifestation, what we're focusing on, and also by saying it out loud and doing things like vision boards and getting it out of our heads and out of just the possibilities, because there's a million things we could all be doing tonight, right? And we decided to be here, so we collapsed our reality to be here right now. So with manifestation, it sounds simple, but it's also just having that awareness of really being intentional of what you are wanting to manifest by the minutes.
Love that. And I'm just so on that wave of being intentional. And again, usually what I share before we start the conversation is a lot about my vision. And a lot of people in this room know that one of my big visions is doing a podcast in a stadium, Scottsdale Stadium down the road, 10,000 people. That'll probably happen within the next couple of years. And then we're also going to go do Chase Field in front of 40,000 people. And I'm constantly speaking that out. All right, there's so much power in speaking that out, and then everybody can hold me accountable to that. And I even have people that hit me up from time to time, and they say, "I know you're going to do this," or "Hey, I talked to this guy," and it's so interesting when you, like you said, speaking that out. First of all, being intentional.
Mm-hmm.
The minute you have the thought, it's already created in the quantum. Right. And then it's just waiting for time to catch up before the wave collapses, and then it's in physical reality.
Exactly. And I have a little bit of, I don't want to go super deep into the science. I need diagrams. I'm a visual learner. I'm not auditory. So like you could literally say something to me and I'll be like, I get it. And then it's like out of my head. But if I see it or if it's written down, I understand it more. But one thing I like to describe about the quantum collapse as well is, have you guys ever thought about what is the difference between thoughts and emotions? You have? Does anybody, I'm curious if anyone want to share what their difference is? I'm going to put anybody on the spot if you don't want to, but yeah.
Emotions are real. Like we can actually see that. Thoughts, it's thought.
Mhm.
I understand that emotions is the energy of emotion. So to me, it's bringing the energy forth into life and how you feel about the thoughts and energy through it and how it manifests in the physical.
I like it.
Emotions are involuntary and thoughts are voluntary.
Thoughts come from your mental energy, emotions come from your soul. In order for emotions to happen, first you must have a thought. It may not be conscious, the thoughts always come first.
I'm liking this. So one way that I like to describe it, I agree with all of these. I love this. So I feel like we could all have the same thought, but we're all going to have a different emotional reaction to the thought. So, for example, Nico and I love teaching and being up here. This is really fun for us. So, our thought about being up here, for me, it's excitement, um, just eagerness to share and have a conversation and connect. What about you? What is your emotion about the thought about being up here?
Well, this is always kind of a funny thing. I love being up here, and it comes from a place of just wanting to create. And I think the best way to explain a great place to be in creation is what I like to call a peegasm. So it's like, when you have to pee really bad,
Happened to me twice since I was here already. Yes.
and then you find, yeah,
I was like, I gotta go.
you finally get it out, and you're like, "Ah." Right. That's what it feels like when you're like in that powerful place of creating from a place of wanting to get it out.
I've never heard that like it. See, this is great brainstorming. Nobody's ever going to forget that now. So it's right. It's interesting. So we have the same thought being up here in front of people. And I know public speaking is I think it's one of the biggest fears in humanity, outside of dying. So it's very different. So for us, we get excited. By the way, the emotions of excitement and fear are very, very similar. So if you're aware of that, you can sometimes flip it a bit. But there's also the thought of being up here for some of you, or for other people, it might not be excitement. It might be fear. So we've got the exact same thought and two completely different emotions. And guess what? This is where the quantum collapse comes in as well, and how we manifest things physically based on our emotions is that we're releasing different chemicals in our body based on how we're feeling, right? So for us, I've got dopamine. I am like smiling. I am happy up here.
Yeah.
Got goosebumps. For people that are put on the spot and might not want to be up here, they might have more cortisol and more of the stress hormones, right? So right now, you mentioned creativity. Nico and I are in our prefrontal cortex. We're in our creative center. And we talk about a quantum leap as well. That's when you're in your creative zone and you're doing things in a different way. So we are in that zone right now. It could be kind of like a state of flow. Somebody else, if we drag someone up here, and we would never do that, but we forced you to tell us your deepest, darkest secrets, you would be in your fight or flight, right? In your amygdala, you'd be in survival mode. So completely different, right? You're not going to be creating. You're just trying to get through. So it's like simple, but it's fun. I always like to know just a little bit of the science behind it and why it actually works.
Absolutely. And, something, I don't know if I've shared this with you, but I mean, you're familiar with the law of vibration. I think we talked briefly about this. But I heard this metaphor recently, or I think one of my friends and I had a conversation around this. We kind of conjured it up. And it's why it's so important to get in that right energy that's going to serve you and get you into that creative flow so that you're creating from a place of like feeling good rather than the cortisol that's being dumped into your body and you're just being conditioned to that. And then you're literally addicted to that cortisol, even though you don't want that. Right. So that's why it's so important. So the law of vibration means that like whatever is your dominant vibration, that is what you are going to continually attract into your life. That's what you're going to continually create in your life. Mm-hmm. And so take audit of that. Like, yes, we're in this room and it feels amazing. And that's awesome. But this night's going to be 3 hours, somewhere around there. Right? But what happens when you go back to the rest of your life? Mm-hmm. What is the dominant thought? What are the dominant thoughts? What are the dominant vibrations? And take audit of that and start looking at your life in a way that like, how do I keep on raising that vibration and getting that vibration more often? Something I'm always tracking. I track like we have this whole spreadsheet that we've put together. It's really beginning stages, but it's incredible. It shows you like where your vibe is and it's like color coded. It's super cool. But like one of the things that I'm tracking is like, what is my high vibe percentage? And I just kind of go based on my feelings, but was it 70% today? Was it 80% today? Was it 40% today? My goal is just always get that higher and higher. And a metaphor that we came up with is that it's like memorizing a song. Like if you getting into that vibrational state that's serving to you is just like memorizing a song, how would you memorize that song? Would you do one lyric a day? Would you just sing it just a little bit here and there? Or would you listen to that every single day, just get yourself immersed in it? And so the more you immerse yourself in that good vibration, again, that's what you're just continually pulling in.
That's exactly it. And it goes to the neural pathways as well. So repeated the same things over and over, our bodies get used to it for good or for bad. And I don't want to say for bad because my definition of bad might be something that brings them a lot of joy and pleasure. But by creating those neural pathways that are really strong, and it just makes it easier. And it's the same thing as the frequency and the vibration. The more we do it, the easier it is. So yes, we're here tonight. I actually spent a year working as a personal trainer because I love fitness, but I'm not that much of an extrovert. I'm actually completely introverted. I need a lot of alone time to recharge. So it just drained me seeing clients day in and day out. But they would be surprised they weren't getting results. And I'm like, well, what are you doing the hour that you're not with me the rest of the week?
Mm.
And so we had to discuss, right? So you can do an event like this, or you can do one, thing that's putting you in the right direction. But we need to continue that over and over and keep building. And then it becomes effortless.
Repetition is the mother of all skill. That's the thing that always comes back to me. And it's like, I heard another quote and it said, to know not to do is to not know. Right. So it's got to be ingrained within you. And that, like, there's this concept known as spaced repetition. Right. And it's the whole practice of doing it over and over and over again until you get to that level, like we talked about, of the unconscious competence. So that is so ingrained that you almost even forget about it, but it's so innate in you that it's in every cell of your being.
And I have a simple exercise I like to do with people to really get you on that frequency. And I call it elevating everyday experiences. And usually when I do workshops, I have people write it down, but we can just do it a little mentally. We'll do a shorter version of it. But I get you to basically think about your regular day, right? It's easy for us to get up, and I'm guilty of this too. We get up, have coffee, do our morning routine. We're just kind of like going through the day. But what if you were more intentional throughout the entire day? And we're talking about raising that frequency. So I try to do this every single day, at least a couple times. So, for example, how can you elevate not every experience you have in your day, but how can you elevate some of your normal experiences? So, for example, with your coffee or your tea in the morning, smell it, savor it. I like to watch the sunrise and snuggle with my puppy and just feel the warmth of the coffee and just enjoy it. And I'm Canadian, so I put maple syrup in my coffee. You do that too? People look at me weird. It's delicious though. But just elevating, or if you're having breakfast or lunch, bring out your fancy silverware and plates. Like, what are you saving them for? I remember once I had my first designer bag that I bought. I was scared to use it because I didn't want to wreck it. I'm like, what if I stain it? What if I'd saved up and it was really special to me? And a friend was like, you should either just put it in a glass case and display it and look at it, or like actually use it and enjoy it. So that kind of started me thinking, how do we elevate our daily living? And you can find happiness in the smallest little things. And that's going to get you on that frequency of abundance and gratitude and manifesting just by you could have the most regular day, but when you focus on just that slight elevation, it's like what Nico was said too. We're moving up in an upward direction. So there's going to be peaks and valleys, but they're going to get higher and higher. Like it's going to be a better life just by doing these basic things every day. And it sounds simple, but if you do this for a week, guaranteed you're going to have some breakthroughs. Like things are going to happen where you're like, wait, because you're on that frequency already. And it's so simple.
I love that. And I think something that correlates very well to that's been a main practice that I've been taking clients through a lot lately is I have a monthly milestone list. And I've also added to that monthly belly laughing list as well. So I'll get a little nerdy. You'll like this here for a second. So
I'm a total geek. Bring it on.
Einstein did an experiment known as the double slit test. Is anyone familiar with that? Yeah, a couple nods. So basically what happened is they shot a quantum particle at this wall that had two doors. Okay. This quantum particle actually split into a wave and that actually went through both doors at the same exact time. Einstein's like, whoa, that's spooky. What they did next is they put a guy looking at door number one and they shot the particle again. The particle actually only went through door number one. It's like, okay. They moved the guy over to door number two. They shot the particle went through door number two. They take him away, we do the same thing, it shoots through both doors. What did this tell us? Where attention goes, energy flows. And so another thing I always like to draw, I think this will be good, like just to conceptualize this even more, like I want you guys all to think about the saliva in your mouth. Just focus on the saliva in your mouth, okay?
Now I'm thirsty again. That means I'm gonna have to pee again.
You notice how the amount of saliva starts increasing in your mouth, right? Where attention goes, energy flows. Because you focused on it, it expanded. So the monthly milestone list, the monthly belly laughing list, the more I focus on that, small wins, big wins, get a big client, have a great conversation, whatever it is. My dad starts drooling, I crack him up, like whatever it is, that puts me in a good vibrational state. And the more that I keep track of it, the more I'm focusing on it, more that I go back to it, it puts me back in that state. And I'm just constantly focusing on it, which is coming back to your point of like making anything and everything as fun as you possibly can.
I love that. And speaking of laughing, there's a stat that babies laugh 300 times a day and adults only laugh on average 3 times a day. Like, isn't that really sad? Like, what are we doing with our lives?
Well, I've been very intentional about this.
Right.
And I think a great question, I'd love to hear your answer. But like, I always ask people, I'm like, what makes you belly laugh? It's not just like the little chuckles. Like anyone can fake a little chuckle. But it's like, what is like, gets you rolling on the ground, hysterically laughing, almost in tears, where you're so damn present? Because like, think about how many times you're laughing hysterically. You are present. Right? We talk about being present, staying grounded. What's going to keep you the most grounded more than just rolling over laughing?
That's a good question. I feel like because I am in deep school mode, I'm a little more on the serious side, especially these days. But some of the last deep belly laughs I had was when I was just being so incredibly silly and stupid with my girlfriends. Like July 4th, we flew up to Calgary, and I took one of my best friends, Sanjana, up to Calgary, and we were flying on July 4th, and she's American, and I'm like, let's bring the 4th of July to Canada. So we had these ridiculous American outfits on the plane. Like I wish I had thought we could put a picture up. They're funny. Like white cowboy hats, white cowboy boots, American dresses. We had flags. We got detained at Canadian Customs because we were just like representing America. I guess they didn't like that. But her and I were sitting there in the customs for 40 minutes. It could have been, there was nothing to hide. We're just like, whatever. We could not stop laughing because we're like, we look so ridiculous. And everybody was looking at us like, what are you girls doing in customs? Like silly things like that. Just like almost like acting like a kid again or not even caring. I just lately just like being like stupid, silly, like laughing at myself. And it's fun.
Exactly. Not
What
taking
about
yourself
you?
too seriously.
I need more suggestions too, actually, because I do not laugh enough. I know that.
Well, I have my go-tos.
And
Well, fart videos, one, of
okay.
course. Like anytime. There's this one channel, it's called Humor Bagel. This guy just goes around Central Park, he has I assume it's a noisemaker, but who knows? But he just goes around and gets the reactions, and it's hysterical. It's talking about like, I wish we had one. It would have made the night. But
We all have things that we find funny. We all have different things we find funny.
it's hilarious. Like I lose my mind, and it's just about like finding that thing for you. Because again, for the longest time, there's people in this room who will tell you the same thing. It's like I was not. I was a very serious person, and I still have like my serious candor to me, but
Right.
I'm so intentional about having fun and laughing. Otherwise, I fall back into being so serious because, again, that's what the world is kind of guiding us into these days.
It is. And I know as well, when I used to work as a nutritionist too, to help people be healthier, I would never tell them to take away things from their diet because I'm a total foodie too. Like, hello, I'm actually probably later tonight. It's one of my friend's birthday. I'm probably going to go have pizza and wine later tonight, and I can't even wait. I love pizza. But it's okay. So I would tell my clients, let's just take whatever your favorite foods are, it's fine. And let's just add more green veggies and let's just add more water. So by adding good things into our life, eventually we're going to feel so good. And it could be in food. We're talking about food. That's my background as well, but it could be any part of your life. By adding in positivity and good vibrations, basically, you're going to gravitate towards them. And the stuff that's not serving you, that's kind of holding you back, it's just going to fall away. So it's like that inner child. We're not saying you can't do it. You can totally do it. You can do whatever you want. Let's just add in more positivity. And eventually you're going to look back 30 days later and be like, wait, that bad habit I don't do or I don't care about anymore. And it's so effortless, but you just need to put that little bit of intention towards it.
Intention is everything, no matter what you're doing. When you live intentionally, nothing is random. and then you actually start living the life that you actually desire.
Right.
Right? We've been talking about intentions. We've been talking about like the emotional side of things, which I always draw this metaphor with manifestation that it's like planting a seed, or excuse me, it's like the creation of a plant. Right? It's no different. It's the process of creation, right? How does a plant become a plant? You take a seed, you put that seed in the ground, you put the dirt on it, you nurture that seed with water, with sunlight consistently, day in and day out, until eventually that seed sprouts, becomes a plant. It's no different with human beings and what we want to manifest, right? We're all always manifesting. It's just how intentional are you with your manifestations? But here's the thing with, in terms of it as a human, is like, what are the seeds? It's our thoughts. It all starts with our thoughts. It starts with our intentions. We nurture those seeds with the emotions, the good vibrations. And then sprouting is the aligned action. And I say aligned action because there's two different types of action. You can just go doing it begrudgingly and that'll fade quickly because then you'll just get burnt out. Or you can have the good thoughts, the good emotions that are so you're all in alignment. And then all of a sudden you're taking actions from a good place. And then because of that, you're just continuing to perpetuate it and it's just feeding the system. And so one of the things I always love talking to you about, and I think you and I are both very proficient at these things, and I think it would be a good place to pivot this conversation even more, is that action. Like what exactly are those actions? And I'd say two of the biggest things are building relationships and social media. I think those are two of the most high leverage activities that you can do when you feel in alignment to them. So how do you go about building relationships? And let's talk a little bit about social media too.
Cool. Let's start with the relationships first. Obviously, the people we surround ourselves with, we've talked about our heart, the electromagnetic field, the frequency, all of that. I think we're relatively aligned with that. Who has ever been in a toxic relationship? Yeah. Yeah, my hand's up there too. So think about, I remember, so 2 years ago, I got out of a very toxic marriage. And when I was in it, yeah, not going to go down. We don't need to like really bring the negativity in, but I am a very happy, positive person. I would wake up every day and I'd have to have a note on my bedside table saying, be happy. So I literally would wake up at such a low place that I had to have that mantra, just be happy, just be happy. It was such a struggle just to get through the day. So you can't be in a state of creativity when you're surrounded by toxic people. And guess what? We're not victims here. We allow people to treat us how they treat us. Right. So I had to come to that realization. I was blaming him for whatever he was doing. I had to be the one to be like, I'm still here. So taking that control and taking that power, leaving that person, I had to restart my entire life for my own safety. I had to get rid of my entire social group for the most part because we had joint social group. I had to relocate. He didn't want me working, so my career had been on hold. So I had to restart my career, literally everything you can imagine. And I left with a suitcase and my puppy. That was 2 years ago. My life, I have worked my butt off, but my life is pretty amazing. It's not easy, but the energy that I have and the positivity and the new social group and business group that I found is like nothing I could have ever imagined. So it really is about who you surround yourself with. And if you're surrounded by toxic people, it doesn't have to be a relationship. That's kind of the easiest one because we spend so much time with them, but it could be friends, even family, even bosses. You don't have to cut them out, but just being aware to maybe taking a bit of a step back, it is life changing night or day. It's just the frequencies. So the community is everything. I like without a community, I think that's probably the number one thing I would say for manifesting because it's all those external forces coming in. It's if you're at the state where I was at, I was just trying to survive. I was trying not to cry every single day. That I was like that low. And I didn't even know it because you're when you're in it, right? So community is everything, the positivity.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And again, that comes back to what I was talking about in the beginning is like, that's why I'm so intentional about building relationships and connecting people because I just want to be around amazing people. And that's why I do these things. That's why I build community. We have a school group as well right now. Are you familiar with Skool?
I've seen it. I actually should join that.
Yeah. Who is in the school group? Oh, wow. Okay. We got 60% of the room. And that's what's beautiful too. It's really lighting me up these days because we go live every Thursday And it's just a place where we just talk about this type of stuff. And so that's a great place to start if you guys are looking for more community. But I just, it's so important to me. It's so important to me. Like you get around the right person when you're feeling down, and it can immediately uplift you because of their energy, and they can pull you into their energy. But when you're, it's one of the most, I see it from time to time when people are just in some real ruts, and then they start telling me about like what's going on in their life, and they're talking about like this job, and they're just around all these toxic people, and it's like wow, like I'm so grateful that like I've made it intentional about building my communities and just my connections. But like that can be the quickest thing that raises you up, or it can be the quickest thing that takes you down.
And you think about too negative energy, and I always hesitate saying negative or positive because, like we say, the life that I had, people would die for. Literally, people would have stuck with it. It was glamorous, all of that, whatever. But so, like, we need another word for negative, but whatever's not fitting for us, right? Whatever doesn't fit with us, that type of energy is denser than the light energy that we're talking about. So that can easily pull us down. And all of us that are trying to better ourselves tend to attract some of that sometimes too if we're not careful. So it's just the awareness and surrounding ourselves with the people that are like lighting us up, lifting us up, and it makes us stronger that way too. So thank you for bringing this community together too. This is amazing.
Yeah, of course. And I think this might be where we can pivot just a little bit. Something that we do here at Just Grow, and even within the Skool community, is we have a tool. It's called Vision Espresso. Who's familiar with Vision Espresso? Okay, so like half the room.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And the reason I brought this up is because the fact that there has been one person in particular that has, been that light in my life that has like really brought me up when the vibes were low, right? And so what we always love doing with our Vision Espresso. So to explain it just real briefly, and we can talk more about it if we want, but essentially it's the ultimate manifestation tool. It helps you get extremely intentional. It helps you have the courage to actually set those intentions, because I know that's a thing that a lot of people have challenges with. They're like, oh, I'm not clear on what I want. I don't know what I want. Our process helps you get clear on what you want. And then what you have is this beautiful audio. It's a message from your future self, as if everything has already happened, and it's in your voice. And then it's the thing that keeps on putting you back in that energy. And again, coming back to that metaphor of memorizing the song, you just have to create the song, and then you just keep on listening to it until you memorize it.
Exactly. Creating those neural pathways and the fact that it's in your own voice. When he played it for me, I don't cry easily whatsoever. And I was like, oh my goodness. But hearing your own voice too, that's a familiar thing, right? And our bodies gravitate towards what familiar. So it makes it even that more impactful. I think it's genius.
It's interesting too, because the voice always sounds just a little different.
I like the voice better than my own when I heard it.
And it's like, it's your highest self, and it just sounds a little bit different. If it was the same exact voice as you are right now, like yes, you are your highest self right now, but it's just a little bit different, and it's really really powerful. And we put a song at the end, and there's a song lyric on the end of mine right now. It's by Russ. It's called Tunnel Vision. And one of the lyrics in that song is that it says, I'm determined to see what it would look like as the best version of me. And so constantly looking through that lens has been so serving to me. And so again, I pull this back because we actually created when we had her go through the process recently. And it's always so fun. We've been doing these on these live calls for us inside the Skool community, where we show it for the first time in front of a few people. And we want to do that today for a very special person, Lindsay Bell. Are you ready to hear it?
Yay.
Okay, so I'm gonna tee this up just a little bit, and then Bruno's gonna help us get this going. So there's a little intro at the beginning, and it adheres to everything that we've been talking about. Being intentional. It asks you, what is your intention for the day? Right, and then it asks you to speak that out loud. The second question is to get in those emotions right away. What is one thing that you're grateful for, and to speak that out loud? Coming back to our conversation about speaking things out. Mm-hmm. Right? And then it leads you into a little bit of breath work, and then it fades right into your audio, and then it anchors it in with one of your favorite songs. And so typically we would have the person actually speak it out, but I think we're just going to let it fly tonight. So what I encourage you guys all to do, this is extremely powerful, to look at it through the lens of, yeah, maybe this isn't your audio, but I want you to sit back. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to just, this is how I've been doing it every time I've been listening to them now, where I almost imagine this as kind of my version, right? But you can start seeing it, how it guides you and starts to help you feel those emotions and getting clear on where you're going. It's really, really powerful. So I strongly recommend that you guys do is get comfortable, close your eyes, and just be guided and enjoy this. Lindsay, you ready? Eddie Bruno.
Now, before I hand you off to your highest self, I have three things for you. One, what is your intention for today? Say it out loud. Good. Number two, what is one thing you're grateful for right now? Say it out loud. Awesome. Now, three, I want you to take 10 highly connected, highly conscious breaths.
Hey, Lindsay, it's me. It's you, the future you. I'm so excited for you to get here, to see who you've become and all you've created. Yeah, the best-selling books that guided many to their inherent worth, the global retreats that redefined spiritual engagement, the multi-million-dollar venture that celebrated the human spirit, the soul-stirring melodies of your first album, the transformative stages shared with luminaries like Tony Robbins, the profound connections with celebrities like Justin Timberlake and Miley Cyrus, and all the lives you've had a massive impact on, especially your own. Lindsay, you're incredible. There's absolutely no one out there like you. And as you continue to listen to that vision audio from Nico, is when things really started to shift. Your journey was unfolding more beautifully than you could have ever imagined. Each day began in your Malibu home, greeted by the empowering rhythm of the ocean, perfectly in sync with your heartbeat. Rolling out of bed, enveloped in linen sheets, you felt the deep support of your partner, a man of integrity, love, and profound respect, who not only adored you, but also inspired your son. Your mornings started with a divine purpose, shifting from teaching through actions to emanating from a deep state of being. This transformation changed how attendees engaged with your retreats. Those sessions, particularly in Bali, became legendary, selling out effortlessly, a testament to your magnetic presence. Your online programs transcended borders, touching lives with wisdom and sparking profound transformations. The Charming Siren, your initial literary venture, wasn't just a success. It became a lifeline for many, guiding them back to their inherent worth. This led you to pen three more bestsellers with Hay House, each amplifying your global message of empowerment and self-love. You graced stages you once only dreamed of, sharing them with luminaries like Tony Robbins and influencers like Jay Shetty. Celebrities like Justin Timberlake and Miley Cyrus sought your guidance, finding solace and transformation in your sessions. Your words didn't just speak, they transformed lives, creating profound ripples of change throughout the world. Align and Allow blossomed into a multi-million-dollar venture, evolving from retreats to festivals that celebrated the human spirit. You dance through life, your vibrant energy infusing each encounter with joy and boundless possibility. Your business mirrored your inner abundance, enabling you to live generously, Your free-spirited tips were a testament to your belief that money is simply a currency of love and gratitude. Now, sitting in your plush, luxurious home, every detail, from the velvet touches to the rich scent of roses and the stunning ocean views, reflects the life you envisioned. Your relationship is a divine dance of balance, where you are the flowing river and he the sturdy riverbed. Your son, inspired by your journey, pursues his dreams with vigor and passion. You didn't confine your creativity to books. You poured your soul into your first album, a collection of melodies that embody the richness of your experiences. Each song stands as a testament to a life well lived, infused with the essence of your spirit. The journeys you embarked on, the exquisite foods you savored, the spontaneous joy of flying friends to exotic dinners or speaking on illustrious stages, they all wove into the grand tapestry of your life. You lived not just in abundance, but in perfect alignment, creating a legacy of empowerment and freedom that resonated deeply within your community and beyond. Lindsay, I love you. I love who you are. I love who you've always been. And I love who you're constantly becoming. Now get up and make it a great day. This version of you simply becomes real. And you're right here in this version of you. To see things as they really are. This version of you looking at you. You looking there. This version of you welcoming you. This version of each thing.
Now, before I
She's feeling it.
Let's give it up for Lindsay. Yeah, just really grateful for you, and you're, all that is already created. You know it.
Wow. Nico, you've created something really spectacular. That's really special. When I did mine too, I had the same reaction. It was like, I was speechless actually.
Most of the time, that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you guys notice? Like, who? I'd be curious just to hear. Like, what did you feel from that? Anybody willing to share? Say it again. Certainty. Yeah, I said certainty, knowing what you want. Like that comes back to, this conversation of fear versus faith. It's a tool of faith. It allows you to step into faith more and more. And again, coming back to what I was talking about before, is like that fear, the what ifs, the doubts. That's a constant narrative that's going on because we're constantly programmed by media, by social media, like everything out in the world is telling us that we're not good enough until we buy said product. And now this is a tool that can help you reprogram that story and that narrative so that you can continue to tell you that you are certain that you are becoming that person, that you already are that person.
And I just thought of this now too, because I have gone through that. within 5 minutes or less snaps you out of the amygdala, the fight or flight, the fear, right? Immediately snaps you into the creativity mode where you can create. You can take that quantum leap. You can create the life that you want, and it shifts the part of your brain that you're living in, because you can't live in both at the same time. So I just thought of that now, the whole neuroscience behind it. I mean, I know you've done all the research, but that's exactly what's happening. Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why we're really excited about that whole metaphor is like the song. It's like, how do you memorize that song? How do you memorize that feeling? And you just keep listening to it. Because again, like, if anybody else wants to share, I mean, Lindsay seemed to feel it a little bit. But it's like, how easy is that to just listen to every day and get in that feeling? And you just have to keep doing that so that you're raising that frequency every time. And then again, you're coming back to that's the new standard. That is 70% of the time that you're feeling in those vibrations, as opposed to like the 40, the 30. It's a tool that gets you up to the higher ranges.
Exactly. I think you're giving one away. Are you? Or
I might be giving one away. We might be. Would anybody be interested in getting one of those for free?
Yeah.
Just Dylan. He's the only guy in here. Guess that's the case. Would you guys like to hear about this giveaway that we're gonna do? Yeah? We don't have to do it. Yes?
Yes.
we don't have to do it.
So, where are we at?
Yeah, just past 45.
Okay, cool. So as mentioned, and I want to open it up for a little bit of Q&A, but I definitely want to share this. So, as mentioned, the person that posts the last story and tags all of us is the person that's going to win that. But it's not just. I mean, oh wait, okay. So here's one thing I want to share first. This is really special to me. Okay. When I made my first ever Vision Espresso, it was shortly after I started the podcast. And I had this idea to create this. I might have been on mushrooms. And I might have been having an incredible conversation with a great friend, which again just stamps in everything that we're talking about here. And the person might be in the room. So again, I'm really, really grateful for this person, Dylan Warder. So let's give a shout out to Dylan really quick. And this is really special because we had that idea right there, and like I think he's even mentioned to me a couple of times. He's like, I saw the light bulb go off, right? I saw it turn off, and he was like, I'm wondering what he's doing with that. And we were up at a cabin. It was Friday night. We were staying till Sunday. I was like so excited to go home. I didn't even want to be there the rest of the weekend. But I got home and I went and created mine. And that was when I was working an advertising job, and I had just started this podcast. We'd done 3 events, but I had no idea on like, how are we monetizing this? How do we actually like turn this into something that's like sustaining? And then this download came in, and then I created it. And what I put into my Vision Espresso, I mean, there's a lot in it, right? But one of the biggest things that I put in there was that I launched this. I called it a personal development offer. I didn't even know what it was called. I was like, yeah, you launched this personal development offer and you started attracting clients, but not just any clients, dream clients. Some of the most well-respected people in the world were begging you to take their money. That's ingrained in my subconscious because I listened to it a million times. And so the story continues, and I was working this advertising job. It was great. It was a great job. We were working with some really big clients. I mean, spending millions of dollars a month, some idols that I used to look up to. And because of the fact that I was so invigorated by this and I was so excited, I was neglecting my job and I got fired. And I was shitting my pants because I had no money coming in. I had this 2-bedroom apartment that I had no business being in, but I had an idea. And I launched this thing, and I didn't even know how I was going to launch it. But I was just like, all right, we're throwing this podcast event. There's going to be some people there. Maybe I show it and see if they want it. Right. And I show this, and it's my vision. It's me speaking my vision with so much conviction. And I just, all right, let's just show it. And so there was a person that came up to me right after we launched it. I was like, here it is. Does anybody want one? The whole room raised their hand. I was like, oh. But then I was like, okay, are people really going to pay for this? And then lo and behold, the first person that comes up to me, I didn't even know him. And he's like, I want one. I was like, really? And so then we talked and we got him started, and it looked completely different than what it is now. But turns out this guy was a dream client. He was running a 7-figure law firm marketing agency, and he was my first client. And I'm about to show you a quick video because we did a little client case study success story, if you will, a little over 2 years later. And that's the power behind this, is because it just like once you plant those seeds and you start nurturing those seeds, stuff can start sprouting years down the road. And so I didn't even realize how far he's taken it off. I mean, I know he's been having success, but it was just really special to look back on this and knowing that the fact that I put it out there and just spoke it when I was scared and had the courage to speak it and just do it, like what can truly happen. And so I wanted to show you guys just a quick clip. We're going to release the full like interview on YouTube and in our Skool community within like the next week or so. But I just want to show you this because I'm just like so damn proud of it. With the pickleball court, we've gone. Hold on. There we go. Manifested my dream house with a pickleball court. I've never done this with any client before. Like a recap, Vision Espresso, and the coaching process and how it's transformed your life.
I didn't really know you when I signed, but the timing was so aligned. That was why I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a shot.
What has transpired?
I'm in this house right now. I've manifested with the pickleball court. We've gone from a 7-figure to a mid 8-figure company, and that's been a lot of fun. Not only like a nice multi-million-dollar house, but also a place where I can foster community. We've been able to have these amazing get-togethers at the house where people hit the cold plunge or the sauna and hang out. I got all the workout equipment, and so I'm in a relationship, which is going great. I felt very confident in myself in every aspect. Like I've become more playful and more goofy. And so I'm in a relationship, which is going great.
This remote's giving me trouble. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I really wanted to share that because that's incredibly special. And a couple other things I just want to chime in real quick is that, obviously he was successful in business and he wanted to continue building that. But one of the biggest things that he wanted to create more connection. He wasn't feeling like he was in a community. And so that's like the really beautiful thing about it, as well as we've been able to, he fulfilled his dreams of building more community because we've started doing these like monthly meetup for men and we'd play pickleball and whatnot. And then I attract a dream client. So it's just like so symbiotic, but it all comes from being intentional. And so it was just really special for me to see.
I was like, wait, I recognize him. We were all out on the boat a month ago.
So, gosh, this, all right. There we go. Okay. So y'all ready for the giveaway? One person.
Someone answer.
Okay. So I think if you can help us out, Sunita, can you check? 1203. I don't know. So while he's pulling that up, it's not just the Vision Espresso. So what we now sell the Vision Espresso, like when we sold that first, we sold it at 10 Vision Espresso essentially at $1,000 a pop. We sold out. The next event we raised the price to $2,000. We sold that out at 10. And now what we're charging inside of our Skool community is $497. So it's a $497 value. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that here in a second. But um, in addition to the Vision Espresso, Jolene has graciously added to this giveaway as well is her Limitless Living course that she's selling at $199 soon. It's not even available yet. So when that becomes available, you'll be the first person that gets the first copy of that. And then in addition to that, Bruno has graciously added a one-on-one breathwork session. So whoever Tamita's calling up is gonna catch all that.
I think it's Chris.
Chris, we got Chris. Hey, let's get it. We'll give a round of applause for Chris. It's amazing. So in addition to that, I wanted to also, as mentioned, we were selling the Vision Espresso for $497 inside of the Skool community. At any point, you can grab one inside there. But we wanted to do a little special thing for our 3rd year anniversary here. We're doing $300 off. So if you go to, you scan the code 3-year, you can get a $300 off. And then you can also, I'll link with you for your 3-day challenge coming up here soon. And then I also want to get into more of a Q&A and talk more about some of these questions that people pulled up.
Perfect. Do we have a QR code for the 3-day challenge?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's that one. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Nico is going to MC a 3-day challenge that I'm hosting on August 20th through the 22nd, completely free of charge. It goes a lot deeper into the quantum principles of neuroscience, how to elevate your life, how to start to use these principles in a way that makes sense to you to create whatever the limitless version of your life is. I go back, everybody's completely different. And it is, let's see, August 20th through the 22nd from 9 until 10 a.m. every day. So it's an hour, maybe it'll go 90 minutes. We've got Bruno's going to do a little bit of breath work for it as well. And it's just basically a way for you to take an hour and a half every morning, get your day started. And after the 3 days, once again, your brain is going to be rewired in a way that is going to start to elevate you towards whatever your intentions are. And a question that I did have from 2 people before we even started, we can talk about this later if we have time, was what if you're trying to manifest but it's not working? Or what if you feel like you're stuck? And this 3-day challenge is going to break through all of those blocks easily in an hour a day. But we could do a couple quick tips if we have time, but we could also just wait for the course or for the free challenge. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. Jolene asked me to MC it, and it's going to be fun because we just want to go a little bit, we want to go deeper here. It's interesting because like we talked about, we can talk for hours, and we also want to be respectful of your time. We want to again open it up for more of a Q&A so that we can really make this more of an interaction. But yeah, I would definitely recommend that. The 20 to the 22nd. And then again, very graciously offered a one-on-one session. So this will go to his Instagram and all the links down below. So if you want to get in touch with us, obviously hit us up on there. And then the other last thing I was going to mention as well is here's the QR code to our Skool community. This thing has been growing so quickly. It's really exciting. We've done it for like about a month and there's almost already 500 people in there organically. So get in there. We go live every single week. We have conversations like this. Love to have you in there. And then lastly is the next Just Girl podcast event. We just announced it. It's going to be with the lovely Katie Kylene, and we're going to be doing it on October 18th, and it's going to be quite a bit different than anything we've ever done. It's going to be at a different venue. It's going to be really, really cool. So mark your guys' calendars for that. But besides that, we definitely want, again, we know we have some questions that people asked already, but we just want to open up this conversation a little bit. So that we can just have a little bit more back and forth, and then, yeah.
As far as the Vision Espresso, they get one of powerful things that a lot of people get stuck on the how, not focus on the what. I think that by having that every single day, and it allows you to get grounded back in the what, not the how. By focusing on how we get lost in, that opens up the door for doubt and questioning. So, as far as the actual power of that, and being adjusted that, actually helps you stay grounded in the what, and having the lost in the how, it will.
Thank you for that. If for the people that didn't hear him, he was talking about there's this concept, like this is my take. Some people might disagree, but when you're focusing on the how, a lot of times that's creating more doubt because you're like, and it's also how you ask the how. Is it with a period or a question mark? It's like how, kind of almost being defensive about like, well, how am I going to get to 100K a month? Or is it like genuinely curiosity of like, how am I going to get there? But exactly what he said, it's more about focusing on the what. It's like, where are you going? Who are you becoming? Rather than like, how it's going to happen. Again, like with James, like there was this thing, it was interesting too, because like we hadn't even thought about a lot of this stuff. And we went back to his Vision Espresso. He's like, oh yeah, it's crazy too, because like the house he put in to his Vision Espresso had a white fence and it's got a white fence now. So it's like these little,
And the pickleball court, like the details matter.
the details matter. So it's like when you focus on just a what and you get grounded in that energy every single day, it's crazy what can happen. So thanks for chiming in on that. So yeah, I mean, I just want to open it up now. If there's any questions or any comments, any shares, and let's just keep talking. And then if the questions dry up, then we'll call it, and then we'll just get back to networking and connecting because that's really what we're about here. And I'm just again beyond grateful for everyone in this room because this is what feeds my soul.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up too. This is just really special. We appreciate all the energy.
Hey, Dylan, have one.
The example you gave as far as the hiking path, I've used that before with clients, but explaining to them that a lot of subconscious programming techniques, a lot of times people do that and then there's no follow up. And so I want to validate this by the way that I say this, see if you agree, and hear your thoughts on it. But I think that like the subconscious and programming techniques create a split, like a new path in that forest. And unless you don't walk that new path over and over again, this one will overgrow and disappear, so you can take that new path. But do you agree with that, or do you like I've had subconscious and programming before in the past, and they would do the technique, but there was no follow up to ingrain that new habit to enforce that new path, that new path.
Yeah, I do agree. So we say it's the use it or lose it. And there's a phrase, neurons that fire together, wire together. So that's why we need the repetitive motion, the repetitive actions. And you're right. If you're going down one path or the other, whichever one you're going down more often is going to become more paved down. I used to, because I grew up on a cattle ranch, I used to use cattle paths as a analogy, but nobody quite understood that, but it's the hiking or the roads or whatever. So whatever you're traveling down more often is going to become the easier way, and our bodies do the path of least resistance, right? Unless we're like very actively making the decision. So every 28 days our cells rejuvenate. So by doing that, at least for the month, you're going to start to create those neural pathways in that one direction. And then the other one, yeah, that's a good analogy. It's getting overgrown, you're not using it. Maybe occasionally you slip back into your old habits, but as long as you're more consistently going in the one direction, it will be helpful. And also our subconscious before the age of 7 is when our subconscious is really developed. And that's where I personally don't have kids, but anybody who has kids, and we all actually, well, we all were kids at one point. So we all have childhood trauma, no matter how cool and great our childhood was or wasn't. So when you're talking about the subconscious, before the age of 7, we have 95% of our programming developed because we're just like sponges and we don't have the discernment. If our parents are like, you're like, oh, I want this toy. And the parents are like, no, you don't deserve that toy. What do we hear? I don't deserve it. And we get stuck with that. And we can reprogram our mind, like how we're talking about. But so when you're talking about subconscious, that's just a kind of like a fun little fact to throw in that for the age of 7 is we're basically these kids in adult bodies with, 95% of how we're acting comes from the age of 7 or below. So that it can give us a lot of empathy too when we see people acting out in ways that you're maybe like, why are they doing that? Or we can catch ourselves with our triggers. So it's kind of fun to go deeper that way. But yeah, long story short, I agree with your analogy.
Well, actually, you shared it, so I wanted to see like that also if there's anything else that you would recommend as far as helping you bring it up after now taking the other end of the tools there. Simple.
Oh, I'll chime in real quick.
Yeah.
I thought this is really good. I did a podcast with a girl that's very, very in tune with all this stuff as well. And she said something to me that I thought was really interesting is that it's why in the manifestation process is the thoughts, the intentions, the emotions, and then the aligned action. And why it's so important for the aligned action is because when you are taking that aligned action, you are in the energy of your highest self. So you're embodying that and you're ingraining those neural pathways while you're taking the action. So it's actually all tied together. And that's when those neural pathways ingrain deeper and deeper. And I can attest to that because I think it was even after our last podcast event, I felt like I had a noticeable shift within myself the moment I stepped up onto stage because I was wearing a suit. I was, feeling good, but then I just stepped up and I just spoke with conviction and I was being my highest self in that moment. And because I took that aligned action, because it was aligned to me, it wasn't just like begrudgingly like I need to take this action. I shifted into a new person and I guarantee my neural pathways just deepened in that moment.
That's so true. And you mentioned the emotion. When you tie it with emotion, it's that much stronger. So even think about like learning a new language. So when I was 21, I taught yoga down in Mexico for a year. And the first 4 months, I was trying to learn Spanish and it was coming along slowly. And then I actually dated a Mexican guy who didn't speak very good English. We only dated for a month, but in that 1 month, I learned so much more Spanish because I had that emotional tie. So learning something new, whether it's a language or new habits, if you have that strong emotion connected with it, it's going to ingrain it that much deeper in your body. And it makes it easier to continue making those decisions.
Yeah.
At the beginning, you said there was exercises that you could use to tap into your heart, like the energetic field.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, this is a really quick and easy one. So I invite everybody to think of a decision that you're trying to make. It doesn't have to be a deep one. It can be a huge decision. It can literally be like, what are you going to go grab for dinner? It could be anything. And you can put your hand on your heart, but you want to take a couple deep breaths and breathe into your heart. So remember, our heart has a lot of neurons. There's still the consensus is out on the exact number of neurons, but it's almost the same as the brain. And the information going from our heart to our brain is 70%, and the information from our brain to our heart is 30%, right? Because it's the vagus nerve going up and down. So our heart actually gives way more information to our brain than our brain gives to our heart and our body. That's our intuition. So when you tap into your heart, you can get really good at making decisions. So it's easier to start with a yes or no decision if you're beginning this. So think of something that you're having a hard time maybe making a decision with, and we'll start with a yes or no answer. It's just a little more simple to do the first time. So inside your head, think of whatever the question is and take 3 deep breaths and focus on your heart. And think if you can feel the energy of your heart expanding and just allow your heart to open up. This is a very safe place here as well. So we're all sharing our positive energy. We're on a really great frequency, which is going to amplify this all. And now with this decision, there's 2 things that might happen. You might immediately have an answer, which is awesome. That doesn't normally happen to me because I'm in my head all the time still. If you don't have an immediate answer, say yes. Whatever the decision, just say yes and notice instantly what your body feels. So by forcing that decision, you're going to either feel lighter and happier, or you're going to feel kind of like a sinking feeling and you're going to feel a heavier energy. So just by tapping into your heart that way, either one of 2 things, you're going to immediately feel the answer, which is a little tougher, or by forcing a decision, your body's going to tell. So if you said yes and you're feeling great about it, that means the right answer for you is yes. And if you said yes and you're kind of feeling a little icky, that means the answer should probably be no. Does that make sense the way that I described it to you guys? Did you guys did you feel anything one way or another? It's a little quick. Normally you take at least 5 minutes to do that and really tap into the energy. But just there's little exercises like this that once you learn them and you start to practice them even more, your body gets super quick at doing that.
And so are you asking a specific question and then waiting if you feel that yes or no?
Yeah. So say, do you want to give an example of a question?
Sure.
Okay. What's the yes or no question that you have?
Am I going to Sedona tomorrow?
Okay. It's more like a decision. So like, do you want to go to Sedona?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're asking, do you want, or
Yeah.
should you go to Sedona tomorrow?
Yeah.
Go to Sedona.
So when you're tapping into your heart, two things could happen. The first one, you could immediately have an answer being like, yes, I am, or like, I don't think tomorrow's the right day. So that's the ideal, but it takes a little more training sometimes.
Yeah.
If you didn't feel that, and I often don't, because I get stuck in my head because that just happens. Even with all this knowledge, I still work on that. So if you don't have the answer, then you breathe into your heart and you just immediately say, okay, yes, I'm going to Sedona. And how does your body feel when you say yes?
Right.
So how did, if you were like, yes, you are going to Sedona, how do you feel?
While you were explaining that was what I was going through, but I just wanted to make sure we brought context to that.
Right,
like,
right.
If you are asking the question, but yes, it's a definite yes.
Yeah. So then you can, and if your body had kind of like gotten a deeper energy and like not felt great about the yes answer, that's showing you that, okay, the answer is probably no. So it's just listening to how your body responds. It's kind of like, muscle testing and things like that, but it's using your heart and really breathing into what your heart is trying to tell you. Once again, I need visuals. So on my 3-day challenge, there's going to be so many graphics because it's like a little tricky to explain it just with words.
Yeah, I love drawings. I'm doing that all the time. It
Yeah.
helps me picture it.
Oh, me too.
Visualize it.
Thanks for asking. I forgot that I brought that up.
Any other questions? Ashley?
Yeah, so I actually have a question for both of you guys. So Nico, inside the school community, you always talk about manifestation routine. So I want to ask you guys, when it comes to manifestation routine, how did you find, or how did you come to find, the routine that works best for you guys? Or was it just a development over time, or you just knew this is my routine, I'm going to stick with this right here?
What is the question? Manifestation routine?
Yeah, like what's your routine? Like a morning routine or just a thing that gets you in the right state and gets you in the right intentions, the right energy so that you can take those aligned actions.
So are you asking like what is my morning routine, or if for general for manifestation?
How did you get to your routine that you currently have?
Okay, so this kind of goes with a couple other questions that we had, and once again, the 3-day challenge, we're going to go a lot deeper. I was getting stuck with certain types of manifestation, and I have all the tools, and it gets extra frustrating because if I'm like this expert and I still can't make it happen sometimes, and then the amygdala, right, the part of my brain that's fight or flight, and then there is no creativity happening there. So being able to snap out of there is key. And I realized, and I actually have a couple energetic mentors that I work with, and the one guy told me this technique, which is genius, and he's like, if you're elevating your frequency, it doesn't matter what part of your life necessarily that you're elevating, because it's all going to interconnect. So say that you're working on a financial block and it's not happening. The second that you start to feel super frustrated, you are not in your creative mode, right? You're in your part of your brain. So then think about what part of your life can you give yourself a win. For me, I love hot yoga. That's why I drink so many electrolytes. When I do hot yoga, I'm kind of in the state of flow. So any part of your life, it could be hiking, it could be having a great meal, whatever's going to put you in that state of abundance, focus on that. Get momentum going that way, and that is going to raise your frequency, and it's going to translate to all parts of your life. So when you get stuck somewhere, obviously you want to keep working. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to do nothing for a month. Like we have bills to pay, right? But focus your energy. Once you're feeling frustrated, focus your energy on something else. Anything else, give yourself a win, get in that mindset, and then with a clear mindset, you can revisit whatever it is that you're trying to work on. And you might have to go back and forth and play around, but yeah, keeping that frequency.
Yeah, it's always so important to feel good. Because when you're feeling good, then you do good.
Feel good, do good. And I mean, life is about having fun. We have serious things too, but like we can have fun doing it too.
And so my answer to that question, I love that question because it's something I've been really passionate about. And a metaphor that I always like drawing, and I think this is kind of how life transpires, is that in the beginning you have this big block of wood, right? And then as you continue down the path of life,
You're whittling that big block of wood down to a toothpick. And you start understanding, like, you make your routines in your life so much more efficient, and you're just so much more tapped into who you are. And that's when you get the toothpick. So I think just taking that approach of that you're just constantly testing what works for you. Just to give you a little perspective on my journey, is like I've had times when I had a 3-4 hour morning routine and I was meditating for an hour or two, and that was a really good time in my life, and that was the season I was in. Now that doesn't fit as much, and it's just like it depends on if you're more woo or you're more do. Like right now I'm toting the line, right? And so my routine right now is coming back to what you said, is like stuff that makes you feel good. Like I'm really blessed because I live here and there's a really cool secret hidden spot that I don't tell anybody, but you can see the sunrise up there. And the last few days I've been catching that. And I think this can tie into Will's question as well, as I've been getting so much more tapped into God and the church and the Bible. And that's literally the first thing I do, is I tap in with God. Like God, I've started becoming a lot better of a listener, right? I set my intentions with my Vision Espresso, and I listen to that every day after I go through my Bible, my meditation, and my prayer. But I'm actively pursuing God, and I'm actively listening better. God, what are you telling me? I'm reading the Bible and asking Him, what are you telling me through these words? And I listen to Him more. What are you trying to tell me? Because that's the direct line of communication, in my opinion. And that's kind of my morning routine right now. But again, it hasn't always been like that. Sometimes it's been like 3-4 hours. Sometimes it's been 1 minute. Sometimes it hasn't been anything. And those were more like chaotic times. And I probably wouldn't recommend that personally. But it's about just kind of finding what works well for you and helps you feel really good, sets the intentions, and allows you to just step into that trust and faith, knowing that everything is working exactly the way it's supposed to. Is that helpful? Awesome. Cool. Any other questions? Yeah, I love that you asked this question, because a conversation I had recently that was very impactful for me was talking about this whole thing. And it's interesting because a lot of times with clients, I ask them, it's like one of the first things I ask them, and we're very diligent, what do you want? It's been the question I've asked a lot. And it's interesting, my perspective shifted a little bit recently. When you focus on the want energy, it can kind of feel like this 2-year-old, I don't have this, so I want that energy. You have this, so I want that energy.
It's like the lack energy.
Yeah. So the perspective shift that I've had recently is that rather than being like, I want that, or I'm committed to having that, it's coming from me, kind of from an ego standpoint of like, and even if it is like wholesome goals, like it's still kind of like this want energy. And instead I'm like, what is my heart-led desire? What does God have entail for me? And again, that comes back to the listening, which again comes back to why I go to the Word so much lately, because that's where He's speaking to me. And so when I can sit and actually listen and being like, God, what do you have for me? What do you desire for me? What would you want me to pursue? That's going to exemplify you even more. And when I can tap into that, then I think this comes back to the conversation, because then it's like the whole conversation around beliefs, right? Worthiness. Like, oh, I don't know if I'm worthy of that goal. I'm going after it, but I don't feel like, but if you're like just simply asking God and so in tune with God, and He's telling you, you are meant for this, go, do, I want you to go. There's less of like, I don't feel worthy of that, because it's not, I don't feel worthy. It's like God has a plan for me and I'm following that plan.
And I also like to tap into, so you want something, I like to tap into the emotion of what you're trying to achieve. And Joe Dispenza talks a lot about this too, and living as if you've already achieved it. And it's not like say it's $1 million, you're not out there spending money as if you have $1 million, but you're living in the emotional and in the frequency as if you have it. So it could be that whatever your goal is, we have goals, and generally we're trying to achieve them to have a certain feeling and a certain emotion. It's not necessarily about the end point, but we think the end point is going to make us feel a certain way. So if you dive deep and think, how is this going to make me feel, and then find other ways to make you feel that way, it's going to get you on that frequency and push you towards, and it might not be that exact goal, but you're going to be achieving your ultimate feeling, which is what we're going for in the long run.
Yeah, and I'll even chime in on this because this has been very imperative for me, and this just comes back to faith and trust and letting go, surrender, whatever you want to call it. But that's been my commitment lately. Historically speaking, I have not been great at letting go. Like, I hold on to things in the past. But I made a new commitment to say I am committed to becoming a master at letting go. I saw a post recently that said that. It's like, when you can become amazing at letting go, life gets really cool. And I think I've been really good at setting intentions. I've been really good at a lot of this process. But like, then it becomes like this tight thing that I have to have it.
The attachment,
right?
Yeah.
Right? And it's kind of like, the metaphor I always like drawing is like, it's almost like seeing these beautiful flowers and then just like grabbing them and pulling them out, thinking that they're gonna grow more. Right? Instead of just like truly trusting and surrendering and just coming back to like that exercise, really tapping into the heart. I'm reading the book, I'm finishing it again, Untethered Soul. Just incredible.
That is one of my all-time favorite books.
I strongly recommend that you read it like 17 times.
I think I've listened to it 6 times already.
It's so good.
Oh yeah, they have a journal too. They have a daily journal.
Really?
Uh-huh.
I would implore anybody that's interested in this whole topic to like really embody that, get to a level of unconscious competence with that book, because it's just like every day I'm reading something and it's just like, wow.
I'm gonna start it again. On my drive home, I'm literally gonna start it again. Thank you.
Yeah, it's so good. So if you guys are having any challenges with trust, letting go, surrendering, any of that type of stuff, that's big. And I think it's honestly a lot of times the missing piece. Like who does have challenges with letting go, trust, surrender, faith? Yeah, a good amount of us. So yeah, I think that is massively helpful. It's been beneficial for me lately. It's like we're finishing up. So I just want to say thank you again for everybody. This means the world that you guys all come in and hang out with us and have some good conversations and listen to our ridiculous fart. That was more something fart videos.
You hesitated. I did press you on that one. So you're.
I'm happy to share. I feel like I share it all the time. People are like, oh, here he goes again.
Here we go.
So
my heart is full, literally full with just happiness. Thank you everybody for showing up and being so present too.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So one last thing I do want to do is I just want us to all bow our heads, and I want to do a quick little prayer so we can sign off here. Dear God, thank you so much for bringing all these incredible humans together, allowing us to all connect and share as brothers and sisters, and just be in the presence of you, God, and allowing us to shine our lights for you. Thank you for all the people that made it here, all the people that couldn't be here tonight. Continue to bless us, continue to help us move forward in the way that you would want us to move forward. Amen.